Do you feel unappreciated as a homemaker? Maybe it even seems like no one notices all the things that you do. You sweep the floor, you scrub the shower, you fold the laundry, but you never get a thank you. And then on top of that, society kind of just doesn't really uplift women who choose to be homemakers and the work that's done at home. And so it can often feel a little bit like you're being unappreciated for all the things that you do. And when you feel that way, it's easy to start to feel resentful and less motivated to be a homemaker, even a little angry at those around you who aren't appreciating what you do. My friend, you are not alone. I want you to know that there are other people who I hear from on a regular basis who also feel like they're unappreciated. They feel like the work they do goes unnoticed at home. And I think there's a variety of reasons for that. But there's also something that you as a homemaker can do about it. So today I want to share with you 3 simple things that I have done to help me not feel so resentful when the things that I do seem to go unnoticed. Now, my name is Emily. If we've never met, I am a wife of the past 16 going on 17 years. I have 2 children that I homeschool. I'm a full-time homemaker, and then I also do work a little bit on the side doing YouTube and running my blog, queenofthehousehold.com. But today I want to talk specifically about what I have learned in the past, for sure 10 years. 10 years is when I became a stay-at-home mom and took on the role of a full-time homemaker. And at first I was very resentful, and it did feel like I was doing everything and no one was noticing all the work that I was putting into it. I did not feel valued at all. And part of that was just me. Part of that was in my mind, and I had to change a few things on my own. And then when I started changing, I noticed those around me changing as well. And so today I want to share with you those 3 things. So whatever your situation is, I know that homemakers come in all different forms, right? There's some homemakers who are young stay-at-home moms and have young children who can't voice their appreciation to you for getting up multiple times during the night to feed them or change diapers. There's some who, like me, have older children, and they are able to express their appreciation, but not always, and sometimes they come across as not grateful. Maybe you have a husband who doesn't notice all the work you do, or maybe he doesn't think that you're doing enough, and he expresses that in a negative way. Maybe you care for elderly parents with dementia who can't express their thanks either. Whatever your situation is, I want you to start, number 1, by showing gratitude yourself. Maybe those people around you are not showing gratitude. You can't control that, but you can control the gratitude that you share. So whenever you see your husband or your kids or whoever it is that is in your home with you is doing something to help the family out or just something good, tell them thank you. Let them know that you appreciate what they have done. And maybe it'll take a little while. Maybe there's not a whole lot that you can think about, but I want you to really try your hardest. There's got to be something that someone is doing in your home that you can thank them for, whether it's taking out the trash or putting their clothes in the laundry or cutting the grass or whatever it might be, just something. Try your hardest to look for ways that other people are doing things around the home or doing things for you and show your appreciation for it. And be for real, be heartfelt when you tell them thank you and make them know that they are appreciated for what they do. That's going to do a couple of things. Number 1, it's going to help you. It's going to soften your heart, and you're going to start to not feel so resentful, and you're going to feel like, oh, I'm not the only one doing everything. There are some people doing some things here, even if it seems like little things or it doesn't seem like it's helping out a whole lot. It's something, and we always have something to be thankful for. And so it's going to work in your own heart, but it's also going to set an example. And we should never expect other people to respond the same way we respond, but most likely if you start to show appreciation, and then they're going to respond with that as well when they notice you doing things. And often what I found when I started thanking my husband or my kids, I noticed that I was less likely to nag them about things and less likely to complain, Because what I found was I was complaining and I was nagging a lot and saying all the things that I was doing and complaining about all the things that they didn't do. But once I started looking for ways that they were helping out and things that they were doing, I had less to nag about and less to complain about and more to express my gratitude and share my thankfulness with them. And remember, you can't control the other person. You can't tell them to go do something. You can't expect them to return the gratitude. Just focus on what you can control. As I share this second thing that really helped me stop feeling unappreciated and resentful about homemaking, I want to tell you a story or two actually about my mother. So my mom passed away a few years ago, but before she did, I remember having my firstborn son and just understanding all that went through, like the whole 9 months of being pregnant and then giving birth and everything afterwards, and just like how big of an ordeal that was and how much of a sacrifice it is on the mother's part. And so I remember telling my mom, thank you for giving birth to me. Thank you for all that you did for me and then also for my 3 brothers. She did it 4 times. And she said, it was my pleasure. And I thought, well, I don't know that giving birth is a pleasure, but having the child and everything, yes, that's definitely a pleasure. But I had never thanked her in all my years of living. I had never actually thanked her for giving birth to me. And so, as a child, you don't really think about that, but it was still her pleasure to do that for me. And then shortly after my second born was born, my daughter, my mom came down to Florida to stay with us. And every evening after dinner, she would go and she would clean up my kitchen for me. She'd wash all the dishes and wipe down the countertops because she knew that that was so important to me. It was something that I was writing about on the blog at the time, and it was a habit that I had, but she knew I was feeling tired and I had just given birth again. And so she chose to just clean up my kitchen every single night. And I never asked her to do it. She just did it. And so I remember one evening saying to my mom, I really appreciate you cleaning up this kitchen for me every single night. You know how important it is to me. And again, her answer was, it's my pleasure. And so those 2 times, I've really ingrained those in my memory. And I've just realized just the way she said that. She said, it's my pleasure. She didn't just say, oh, you're welcome. Or yeah, sure. It's my pleasure. It was my mom's pleasure to serve me in those ways, even though she wasn't expecting me to be grateful, even though she wasn't expecting anything in return. And I think as moms, we have to change our mindset to having it be a pleasure to do homemaking and to really enjoy the fact that we are literally giving our bodies and ourselves and our lives to our families. When we choose to spend our time taking care of our homes and our families, we are doing such important work that will impact the future, and it will impact society as well. What happens in the home is so important to the world around us. And we may not think that because we're at home all the time, or not all the time, but we're at home a lot, and it may not feel like it's that important. But let me tell you, if there is not a safe, stable, comfortable home for families to grow up in, then society is going to be lost, right? So as homemakers, everything else depends on the home. Everything else depends on homemakers. And so it's such an important role that we play. And when we internalize that and we know that, we realize that this is a privilege and this is a pleasure to be able to do these things for our families. So it's really just a change in our mindset rather than it being a burden to be a homemaker. It's truly a blessing that we get to do these things and care for our families. And so, maybe you don't get a thank you from your toddler for giving them a meal or for cleaning up the mess, but they might give you a hug. They might give you a giant smile. and just know that they are thankful even though they can't express it. The third thing that really helped me was to ditch the negativity. And so we kind of talked about this in a previous podcast episode where I talked about the main thing that really helped me change as a homemaker was changing my negative thoughts into positive thoughts. But when it comes to feeling unnoticed or feeling unappreciated as a homemaker, it's easy to kind of get inside your own head and to just start telling yourself, I'm the only one who does the dishes. I'm the only one who makes the bed. I'm the only one who does the laundry. And maybe that's true. Maybe that's coming from a legitimate place and you are the only one who does those things. But don't allow your mind to fester on those things. Maybe you just need to specifically ask and say to someone else, could you help me in this area? Or I'm not able to get all this done during the day or during the week. Is there a time on the weekend where we could work as a family to get this done? And maybe they will say yes. Maybe it's not going to be a possibility. And they're going to be like, no, I'd really like for you to take care of that. Whatever the situation is, don't allow yourself to just keep that negative thinking boiling and running over in your head. Stop those negative thoughts before they become out of control and you're always just, I think the word is ruminating on those negative thoughts over and over and over again. When you're feeling unappreciated, it's really easy to let bitterness grow up inside of you. And it made me think of the verse that comes from Hebrews chapter 12 and verse 15. I want to read it to you right now. It says, "Look after each other so that none of you fails to receive the grace of God. Watch out that no poisonous root of bitterness grows up to trouble you, corrupting many." So that verse is telling us not to let the root of bitterness grow inside of us and get bigger. When you see or feel bitterness in your heart, and it usually comes out in anger, it comes out in just feeling like you are the only one who does everything around here. Believe me, I've said that many times, and I've had to stop myself from saying that and from feeling that way. And every once in a while, I will have those thoughts still come into my mind like, oh, I'm the only one who does these. Why doesn't anybody just think about picking up that piece of paper that's on the floor? Like, why do they walk over it? Or things like that. And if I allow myself to fester and I allow that root of bitterness to grow inside of me, God tells me that that's going to corrupt many others. And it's going to start right here in my home with my family, because bitterness doesn't just stay in one spot, it spreads. And so if I am bitter in my heart and my mind, and I allow that to grow, it's going to come out in my attitudes and my words and my actions, and it's going to affect my family. So if you are starting to feel that root, cut it out now and get rid of that bitterness. Another way that I ditch the negativity is to simply just choose happiness. Choose happiness in the way that I run my household. I get to choose how I run my home, and that brings me happiness and joy. I am confident in the way that I run my household, by the systems and the routines that I follow, by learning more each time that I cook a meal. I learn new things, and I'm learning how to cook better. I'm learning how to clean my home better, and I'm gaining confidence and happiness in that. So when I'm thinking about the positive side of homemaking, that makes such a huge difference. And then I don't feel so bad when other people don't notice it. And instead of wanting to do homemaking so that other people will notice, I'm doing the homemaking because that's what I'm called to do. And it's important to me. And it's a way for me to show love to my family. And also it's a way to glorify God. So if you are starting to feel like no one notices what you do, and you just feel unappreciated as a homemaker, I hope today has been an encouragement to you. Focus on the things that you can change, not on the things that are out of your control, because that will drive you crazy, let me tell you. Instead, do the things that you can do. Find joy in the tasks that are set before you each day, and enjoy being a homemaker. If you haven't listened to the podcast episode about the negative thinking, replacing negative thinking with positive thinking, I will leave that linked at the end of this video so that you can watch that. Thank you for joining me today, and remember to keep doing this very important work of homemaking. Find the joy in every day, and I will see you in the next podcast. Bye.